If you were really saved, you wouldn't struggle and you wouldn't want to go do the old things you used to do. That's the biggest lie in Christianity, and it's the very thing that's keeping you stuck. If you strongly desire something and you just suppress it because of fear, that is not surrender, it is restraint. We have to realize sometimes as Christians, forcing ourselves to do actions that we're not ready to do yet is the least faithful thing we can do, because it's just outward change without an inward change. We're cleaning the outside of the cup without letting God transform the inside. And this is why you feel the resentment. This is why you feel your temptations running rampant in your head daily. For true change to happen, you have to be exposed. So true surrender is accepting what you really want. It's accepting who you really are. And that's a person that when left to yourself only wants to go against God, only wants to follow his or her desires. But the moment that you accept this about yourself and you accept you could never do it is when God actually starts to work. You can't see God's grace and the magnitude of his love until you accept who you actually are and what you really deserve. And the moment that you see and you embrace your weakness and you embrace your wickedness is the moment that the condemnation is actually going to leave and the appreciation for what God does for you, what he already did for you, is going to overflow. Now, you're not going to depend on yourself anymore because you're going to see who you really are. Now you're going to depend on God and what he does for you, and this will solve all the problems. When you act strong and you force yourself to do things you're not ready to do because you're afraid of hell and you're afraid of what other Christians might think about you, is when you're blocking God's lesson and God's blessing. God allows you to fall into sins. God allows you to have the temptations and have the desires that you have so his grace can become sufficient for you. So you can go do those things to show yourself you can't trust yourself, because it leads to emptiness. It leads to things that you don't want. So sometimes you have to go experience that shame and coming to the end of yourself so you can actually come to God and rely on him. If you didn't struggle, if you didn't have these desires, then why would you need God? You would not need God. The only way we're going to have long-lasting transformational change is if it's your choice and it's not fear. So when it's, I'm not going to do this because I'm afraid of the consequences, that will never, ever be sustainable and you will live a miserable life. But when it's, I experienced this, I saw what it looks like to follow myself and trust my thoughts, I don't want that anymore. I want what God has given me through Christ, because that is going to lead me to the abundant life. So it's not, I don't do this because I'm a Christian. It's, I don't do this because I've seen what it looks like when I follow myself and I trust my thoughts. So I may have that desire still. I may be tempted still, but God showed me grace and God made me new, 2 Corinthians 5:17. So I'm not going to agree with my thoughts that are dead. I'm going to agree with my identity in Christ because I'm alive in him, as it says in Romans 6:11. You're not abnormal and you're not a fake Christian. You have just been obeying out of fear. You have been fixing the external without the internal being changed, because you have not allowed God to humble you. You have not allowed God to show you why you don't actually want the things that you want, because you have forced change without him showing you transformation, without him doing the work. You're trying to do it yourself. So if you would just embrace it and accept your weakness and stop trying to do anything, is the moment God's grace is going to work and God's going to reveal things to your heart, and he's going to open your ears and open your eyes to things you never saw before.